Okay, everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. We're on episode 20 now, almost getting to that half a year point, which is pretty impressive. Now, hopefully, everybody is able to watch this because as we're recording it, the whole world is kind of broken based off some cybersecurity stuff that's going on, and that will be probably the focus of this show because it's a very timely headline that I think could create some good trading opportunities. So we're going to chat about that. We're going to chat about Bitcoin currently ripping as we're recording this. We'll see what happens on Sunday when you guys see it. And some all kinds of good stuff in, I guess, the cyber world. Nothing happening in the real world. It's all through the series of tubes. Now, Steve, I want to ask how you're doing, but I know you're getting affected by this. So,
CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike has affected me. I woke up this morning and did not have a direct deposit. I cannot connect to my trading app at Schwab, and the orders that I've been placing on Schwab's web panel are now hanging. So I'm basically in a driverless taxi with my arms tied behind my back. I am unable to manage risk at the moment, so I'm doing my best to just like chill and go with it, see what happens.
well, let's hope for a ripper Friday of the market. But that's a good segue. So actually, let's just get into it. So I imagine everybody is going to have heard this news by the time this comes out because it seems to be affecting everybody, large and small. But if you're living under a rock, maybe you're Amish and this hasn't hit you yet. The main idea as it is now is that there was some sort of Microsoft Windows update that happened overnight. And I've been, when I used to use Windows, I think everyone's been affected by usually, like maybe an app breaks or your sound settings get messed up or something. But in this case, it broke something very important on CrowdStrike. Now, CrowdStrike, for those who don't know, is a cybersecurity company, but more importantly, it's DDoS protection that everybody pretty much pays for. So, just to explain to the nerds again, this isn't my world, but the best that I can. DDoS attacks are essentially when a company or a person or a bot or whatever just floods your connection with a whole bunch of junk.
Directed denial of service.
Yes, and just clogs it up. And it's the most like brute force. It's the easiest one to do. You can go online, I think for like $5, you can buy a DDoS bot to like hit someone. So it's not like sophisticated hacks. So what CrowdStrike does is it manages these and it stops these. So what you need to know is that everybody is trying to do this DDoS attack on everybody all the time because it's just so easy to do that when a company like this goes down and they're the main protector of it, it just breaks everything. So that right, everybody essentially uses kind of CrowdStrike in their back end for one kind of effect or not. So the reason that people are thinking this is Microsoft related is because the CEO mentioned that none of the Linux or Mac hosts were affected at all. It was just on the Windows side. So, right, something happened on the Windows point of view that just kind of busted everything. Now, so we
Need
got
to
the stock
reboot
up
over
here.
here. Quite honestly, I see so many blue screens on X right now.
Yeah. Well, I hope everything I've read said the fix is already fixed from CrowdStrike's point of view, but now it's like how long till each individual company
Downstream.
yeah
Yeah.
fixes it from there, right? It's like if okay, the main water reserve is better, but if your pipe's messed up halfway down, how long does that take to fix? So we have we got the chart up here. They were down, I think, like 25% or so in pre-market and have been just rallying back ever since, with only down 8 or so percent. So I don't know. What do you think? We'll go into the competitors soon, but what do you think of just the individual company? Is this something that you're going to be buying the dip on, or waiting for?
In these types of situations, breaking news, I literally have like a 48-hour rule. I want to see how the smoke
Oh,
settles after
cool.
48 hours. Because prior to 48, all you've got are the clickbait people trying to get people to listen to their theory and
Yeah.
their reason as to what's going on, and you just get confused. But after 48 hours, everything becomes pretty darn clear. And I use that for pretty much any breaking news, whether it's, rallies that people are trying to assassinate people at. It's just insanity until
Mhm.
the smoke clears and you start to see exactly where the logic lies.
Yeah, it's funny you think in the fact that we can all share information quickly with each other, that would make it better, but it actually makes it worse. You have to wait for, because you're going to have everybody, including robots and AI, just spitting out whatever they want. And yeah, I think that's a really good rule and would be very much served for a lot of people to follow that rule and just say, hey, wait 2 days. Because yes, it's bouncing now, but then the question is, what are the downstream effects of this? Are there lawsuits coming? Is the government gonna come in because it affected some oil trading, it affected airlines, it affected a lot of things out there that could be cybersecurity is a big deal for national security. So, I know everyone's getting super excited to buy this dip. It's a very, if we take a look at the kind of monthly chart, it's a very strong company that's just been absolutely murdering it from, I think the IPOs even a little bit before this. So $40 up to 300. So it's been a great company. So a lot of value people, I think, are buying this dip. But I agree with Steve, right? You don't know if the DOJ over the weekend says, okay, we gotta, check them out and see what's going on and figure out how to deal with this situation that could cause some further downside. I think the other ones we want to take a look at here is Pan W, um, and S, which
Yeah.
is Sentinel One, and these
You know
are
who does you know who loves Pan W is Nancy Pelosi. She does pretty well trading, I heard.
yeah. Well, look at this monthly chart in the corner here. That's a good trend to be on
She, she actually bought that dip, that big gap down. I remember that was a headline. Nancy Pelosi is buying call
back
options in
here.
Pan
Yeah.
W. Yep. So she's in the money.
Yeah. Well, kind of flat today, but the idea is that I my takeaway from this, and I think we talked about this a while ago when we talked about supply chains and how more we look at globalization, we're like, this is great in theory, but everyone should kind of deal with their own type of supply chain issue. And to me, is the same thing. If everything in the world seems to run on CrowdStrike, then if CrowdStrike goes down, that's problematic. So to me, it would make sense to have 5 or 10 of these companies that each, individually do parts of the market. Or so when CrowdStrike goes down, then hopefully that's only now 1/10 of the internet as opposed to anything else. So that's kind of my thinking with it. None of these charts to me look very awesome. Oh, just quickly, I'll show you. I don't know if you've been playing with this, Steve, but this is a new feature we have on the
Yeah,
web where
yeah.
you hover
The
over the
hover.
symbol and it gives you a 15-minute
Hmm.
chart so you can see. I'm loving. I think this is amazing. But yeah, so what I'm gonna look at over the next few days, and I think maybe an actual good way to take a look at it for a longer term investment, and I want your opinion on this, is looking at the ETF side of things. Because if I'm right, and the world decides, okay, we need to get off of just CrowdStrike and we need to diversify across different cybersecurity providers, I like this hack ETF that holds a little bit of all of them. And just from an overall, you guys know I don't really trade based off of news and everything like that, but I'm thinking that these cybersecurity companies might actually be the real long-term AI play because as AI becomes more prevalent, hacking is going to become more prevalent. So these companies are going to need to be more and more in demand in order to counter the whole AI thing. And I'm looking at this monthly chart of this hack ETF, which again is just a basket of cybersecurity companies. That to me, on a monthly point of view, looks pretty kind of cup and handly right there and
Yeah,
sitting right at
yeah.
highs. So if we go into a weekly chart, again being pulled back this week, but a nice looking little bull flag here. So
Hmm.
what do you think of my assessment of what's going on, and what do you think of maybe this is a vehicle to express that?
Well, I love the cup and handle pattern because you can explain it in like an allegory that I love to use, and that is, you got a bunch of uh, guys in medieval war across the moat holding a giant log trying to pound the door down. And they pound away at it a few times, and then they get tired and they go and they put the log down. They have a meal and they have a shower, and they go after it in the next few days, and it's that second attempt that usually kind of gets it through. That first attempt weakened it. So I love the cup and handle feature, and you were right earlier when you touched on, and my comment as well. Let's let the 48 hours unfold. We're only 8 hours into this thing, 10 hours.
Mhm.
If and when it's a Friday, we find out over the weekend that something was malicious, then all of a sudden, all these names you're talking about are definitely in play next week.
Yeah. So this is what I'm going to be watching over the next little bit. That's why I'm looking at a weekly and a monthly chart because this is the beauty of trading, right? Sometimes we're zooming into 15-minute charts and we're talking about things that may happen over the next couple days. I'm thinking of allocating some of my retirement fund to cybersecurity on the wake of this. I like the ETF aspect of that just because I don't have to pick the winner. I can just kind of take a bunch of them and I can go from there. So before we move on to the next story, the other victim of this story I think we need to look at is Microsoft. So, you know, if this was a Microsoft update that kind of broke everything, then this might be another company that ends up having, some sort of problems when it comes to just got to face the music, right? We had this issue. It was kind of caused by you guys. Yes, I think at the end of the day, it's obviously CrowdStrike's issue in order to solve. But just like CrowdStrike, we're getting a nice little bounce here in Microsoft after what I think is a great breakout and then a retest of this level right here. I'm with you. I'm not going to do anything until Monday, but I kind of like the look of this chart. So what do you think of Microsoft?
Um, it's a nice gap fill. It's a nice pivot level. I talked on the live session yesterday in our YouTube room. You know, entering and exiting trades is not jumping in the deep end with a cannonball. You walk in with a handrail and step into the pool. And so that warrants sometimes. I did this yesterday in SMR, by the way, our favorite stock. You
Hmm.
nibble. You buy 1/3. You buy 1/4. You put your foot in. You get it on the radar. You feel the temperature, and then you start to trade around that. And before you know it, it starts to move up through some key averages, and you add to it. And that's the genesis of how positions are formed. They're not all in one big bang. It's a slow, process of acquiring and establishing a position, working a position. Same on the exit. I hate to give everything all away at once just because it hit a target. I like to
Hmm.
give away a big chunk at targets and then wait and see what happens and accept a pullback midday and accept that it's going to do that, just like I talked about earlier. Grab the battering ram, get a towel, dry it off, and let's push back through highs. You can't just cut through upside levels like a hot knife through butter. You've got to withstand the breaths and the pullbacks.
Yeah, I again couldn't agree more, and that's likely how I would approach something like this is okay, if we hold this level on Monday and say we're trading higher, you buy a little bit, your stop goes down there, you wait a couple days and maybe right it pops and then it pulls back a bit, right? So yeah, I the thing that I think is important, especially for new traders, is that Microsoft's not going to go to a thousand overnight. It's a huge company, so if I'm looking to take a trade on Microsoft, I just need to understand that I'm in no rush, right? My bet is that maybe we go retest all-time highs here, and that's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen over the weekend. There's nothing that Microsoft can really announce and say, "Oh, well, look, we're awesome now." So yeah, so be patient, buy a little bit, take some trades as it comes, when we can go from there. So that's good. That's the cybersecurity news. I hope everyone's able to watch this podcast and they get it all sorted. It seems like it is,
Mhm.
and things are going to slowly roll out. But um, our second news, all on the digital front, because again, nothing physical seemed to happen too much, is that we have more news about Trump. He's going to be speaking at a crypto event. Again, I don't follow U.S. politics, but it seems like there is more after what happened last weekend, and then there's some stuff going on with Biden, and I don't look at polls because I think they're silly, but I do like that there's betting markets, and I think if you want to look at where the odds are, you go right to where
Mhm.
people are putting the money, and there's more and more of a chance based off those betting markets that we're going to see a second Trump presidency. And the market anyway is looking at him as the more crypto friendly option. So as those polls seem to drift more in his direction, crypto seems to be popping, and that's kind of what we're seeing right here with crypto here ripping. So I have IBIT, which is a great way just to take a look at this Bitcoin trust, an ETF. I like IBIT because it has more data. Nice, 3% gain. Nice pop up after this pretty dramatic pullback that crypto had over weeks and months, reversed off that lows and then pushed higher. So, this seems to be a great place to kind of take a look at this and again talk crypto again. So, what are you thinking, Steve? I'm going to zoom out here to a weekly or
Yeah, a
maybe
couple of things.
longer.
Once markets start to figure out in an election year who's looking like the leader, like you said, it's the market is the biggest barometer of
Yeah.
where your money goes. Whether it's forgot the name of those other predictive markets, but yeah, this is one component of a possible change in the winds with a different administration. And the headline you saw was correct. What you also forgot to mention was the vice president selection that he just made. JD Vance is a noted gold bug and Bitcoin fanboy. He's talked a
Hmm.
lot about that, anti-fiat type of guy, and that's really the play on Bitcoin. But I want to remind you, I think I spoke way, 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 way back. XRP. Either you can put up a trading view chart of it, or I can try and share my screen. But
No, I can.
yes, XRP has been quietly ripping. There was a flush, a test of lows, and this thing is still relatively cheap. It went down to 38 cents on a stop hunt, if you will, and it has recovered and hit a high of 63 cents 2 nights ago. It's a pretty big range for something only in a matter of 2 weeks. And yeah, we'll get the go no goes on there. And point being is
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
lose sight of XRP. And just to remind you, this is a perfect segue with what's going on today. I told you earlier there was a problem with money transfer I was due today in my Schwab account. It finally hit, thankfully,
Hmm.
but that's no fun. XRP is all about moving money, but in the digital world from ledger to ledger.
Yeah.
And it's a tremendously interesting technology. It's been around forever. If you go and put the all 7 years of data on there, and you'll start to see we're looking at the biggest 7 year wedge you've ever seen technically, and we're at this critical spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically yeah. So nothing's happened a whole lot in the last couple of years, but if that trend line breaks off of that spike high, we're very close to that trend line. Things are starting to kind of show up in the headlines, as I said, with the administration's Trump. He's going to be speaking at a cryptocurrency discussion. XRP is now, I think, the sixth most liquidly traded crypto. They're still entangled with the SEC as to whether or not they're being appealed. They're on saying it's a what do they call it? An asset or not, or
Yeah.
a commodity
Currency
or
or
currency. Thank
currency.
you.
Yeah.
Um, but Ripple is the parent company, and that is the platform. XRP is the tokens that are used to grease the wheel of cross-border payments. Right now, and this is a classic example, Michael. I saw a guy interviewed. He goes, "I'm a hedge fund, and we send money to Europe all the time for things.
Hmm.
That's what we do." The Swift system takes 3 days usually to hit from bank to bank, and then it can be expensive. He says, "I swear, we just did a $50 million overseas transfer using the XRP blockchain. It was received in 5 seconds and it cost us 30 cents.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in. So
Yeah.
everything that's happened today, all right, all you're hearing, and actually Britain was the first. I saw some stories yesterday. The BBC was talking about it's maybe you can figure it out the chap or the chup or something. It's the UK's way of transferring money for home purchases and also interbrokerage. They started to go haywire over 36 hours ago. I saw some videos on that. The XRP community was talking. They're saying, "Hey, look, everybody, headlines, governments are having money transfer issues. XRP, the blockchain, is the solution. There's a lot of
Hmm.
steps to get through there, but I'll just leave you guys with this. Look towards the end of the month. The CME is beginning to create a benchmark index for the XRP value,
Oh,
and
cool.
there's also talk of an ETF coming. So all of that combined has given, if you go back to the daily chart, has given this thing a tremendous goose. And we have just a simple technical pullback here.
Hmm.
Could even be a place to buy a pullback. But something's happening in XRP. Don't lose sight of this crypto, and it all ties together with I think what's happening today with some money transfer issues and the upcoming discussion of Trump, which is likely going to be the new administration.
Yeah,
Cheers
and
to that.
from a technical point of view, right? I just think this is the anchored. This one's the anchored view app from the all-time high, way, way, way back in like 2018, and this is the anchored view app from this recent high that happened in. Let's see if we can actually make that a little bit nicer. Um, all the way back, what, 2021, and you can see it's wild. It came directly to the tick to that anchored
Yep.
view app and then pulled off. So
Yep.
that just seems like that might have been a little bit of an algorithmic selling. You know, someone got a bunch right here and said, I'm just going to put my target below that anchored VWAP or whatever it is. So yeah, I would,
Pull
if
it
you're looking to
back.
take the trade, I think if we get a pullback and then a break through that, I think that's a good little, your stop could go at the low at whatever this pullback ends up being when it's all said and done. Your entry could be through that anchored VWAP. And the reason we talk about these anchored VWAP is that's the sentiment shift, right? Is because now everybody is, if you've been dollar cost averaging into Ripple for years now, you know that everybody's up money. And when everyone's up money, sentiment's better. When sentiment's better, stock price moves. So I think that's one way to look at it, right? Obviously, for the traditional stock stuff, you can take a look at IBIT, because I always look at these uh, Bitcoin to me is like the index. Like if the SPY is down 20% that day, the odds of your stock being up are pretty slim. And it's the same I look at with Bitcoin and then any of these altcoins or anything like that. If Bitcoin's ripping, then, a rising tide will hopefully and probably lift all boats. And if Bitcoin's tanking, then, you could have the best crypto in the world. It's probably not doing very well on a short-term basis. So keep your eye on Bitcoin. This to me looks really, really strong. Full disclosure, I did take a little bit of Mara, and I want to go over to this guy right here. Show you why. So this is our go no go charts that we have inside of Trade Ideas right now. You can actually buy this right now and check it out. We teased this a little bit before, but we're on it now. I'm using them a lot for kind of confirmation, and you can see here Mara dark blue, so it means all of the indicators involved in go no go are pointing higher. That yes, this thing's in a good trend. I should look for longs. Came back. I just highlighted this level of 23-ish. That was very important. 3 touches, 4 touches here, nice breakout, pullback. We had a touch back here too. So this is a very important level in Mara. So it makes my trade really easy, right? I took this based off just kind of the 15 minutes turn and go, just because I like systematic rules like that. That's okay. I like the daily chart, the 15-minute turn and go. So I bought some right here, kind of in the morning. And the idea is simple. I'm going to hold this until A, this level breaks. This is my hard stop, or B, I see a no-go indication on Mara. So I like the look of this one. Reason I gravitated to this, you can see we have up high here, 26% short float. So if we're going to get a move in Bitcoin and we're going to get a move in all cryptos, I think you just have this kind of rising tide lifting all boats thing going on. A quarter of the float is short in Mara, so I take a look at that. So basically just saying that if Bitcoin's going to continue based off these headlines that we're seeing and that confirming in the chart, sometimes we come on here and we read headlines and the chart's just completely contradicting and we move on. This time it seems like we're getting some good headlines. The chart seems to be confirming it. That's, in my opinion, when you want to take action. And I would take a look. I would use Trade Ideas. We have a crypto mining channel that you can take a look at, and everything in there will be crypto miners. Look at ones that you like the chart the best, you like the short flow the best, you like the business the best, whatever it is that you do. But there's a lot of ways to take this trade, so I would just pick whichever one works the best for you.
Yep.
All right, Steve. So yeah, fully digital news week this week. Nothing with oil or gas or gold or anything like that. Do you have any ideas or anything to potentially leave the kids to watch going into next week?
No, I mean, generally speaking, as I'm typing to you, the Nasdaq Tech is just still in no man's land. The S&P is also kind of in no man's land. IWM was leading, but they're weak and pulling back. I don't see a whole lot of strength in much right now. As I mentioned earlier, I did pick up some of that SMR because I've been trading around it so well. But quite honestly, it's not doing a whole lot of what I want it to do at the moment, and I'm kind of hamstrung here.
Yeah.
I'll give it a little bit, see how we close, but I'm not doing a whole lot for many reasons. One, markets are pulling back. I want to see how much more pullback we have. I don't want to be the hero buying dips. And two, technically speaking, if I've got one market order at Schwab hanging right now, why would I continue to send more orders? So, lesson in trading, these things happen. We're
Yeah.
subject to technology. And at times, sometimes you just have, like a race car driver, when they lose control, what do? They take their hands off the wheel so they don't
Hmm.
break their hands, all the bones in their hands.
Yeah.
So my
No, I
hands are
think
off.
that's a huge lesson. There's a lot of people out there that don't listen to that. So, right, we talked about when you were not feeling well a couple weeks ago. It's good to lay off. If your body's not working or your tools are not working, the market's open again on Monday, right? To take an early day. For myself, that's why you probably heard both of us say a lot. I'm going to see what happens on Monday. So I think
Yeah.
people who've been trading for a long time are probably in that mode. There's a lot of stuff going on. Let's take a step back, manage any positions we have open, let things cool off on the
It's
weekend.
summertime.
Yeah,
The
Monday's a new
volumes are
market.
kind of low, and yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
that's all I got. Yeah.
All right. Well, boys and girls, thank you very much. Again, if you've made it this long, leave us a comment, a like, a retweet, a share, all of those types of things. The algos, pick them up. I look forward to doing this every week. I hope you guys look forward to watching it. So again, if you want to help us out, that's all we ask. If you want to come check out Trade Ideas, should also say we are having a test drive. So by the time you are seeing this, if you go to trade-ideas.com, you can sign up. If you already don't have Trade Ideas, you can sign up and you can try it out for 2 weeks. If you do have Trade Ideas, you're upgraded to all the features. You get access to everything, so you get to play that out. And we're having another trading contest, which 3 grand this time. I think that's our biggest prize pool yet. So
Hmm.
definitely come check that out if you're a Trade Ideas subscriber. Think about what you're going to do for your trading style. The kind of crux is that it all has to come from our AI. So uh, pay attention to the AI, take a look at it. You can
Right.
trade in any direction. You could fade it if you think it's wrong. You can go with it if you think
The
it's
long
right.
term trades too. Don't forget the long
Yep.
term
You
trades.
can
There's
you
going to
can
be a
take
lot of.
Yeah, you can
Mhm.
take trades on what the AI did recently in the past. A lot of things you can do, so just definitely make sure that you're kind of thinking about that because yeah, 3 grand, 3 grand is 3 grand, so that's a big prize pool for the winners for sure. So definitely check that out, and again, give us a like, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys next week.